G'day everyone. I wanted to take you through a shoot that I just did recently. Well, it was actually only on Sunday, so it's only a couple of days ago. And I posted it online and everyone was asking me how I went about getting this shot. It was also featured in the video that I just did as well of Kiara dancing on the beach. It was this one. Anyway, let's have a look at the shot, which is actually this image here. Now, everyone said to me, where did I get this dress from? And basically it's just one long bit of cloth that I bought from it was a curtain store, and it's a massive long big bit of cloth. And you'll notice too how it's done was Kerry, my assistant, my beautiful wife, helped me here, and also Kiara's mum. There was a number of other people as well, but all it is, it's basically just that it wraps around Kiara either side. So it's wrapped around about 4 or 5 times, and then it's tucked in underneath the legs and also underneath the breast area there, and it makes it look like a dress. Now at the back itself, there's just a couple of clips that we use there to hold it all together on her back that holds it all tight. So that's how it's actually all held. And then this is really long coming through here. Now I wanted Kiara basically to have her hand pointing back. She was holding it up to sort of give it a bit of shape so it just didn't fall down initially, and she's looking back directly along that path as well, looking sort of back at it flying behind her. And I'm going to show you how this was created. So let's look at a little video and I'll show you first how this is done. So let me open this up, and then it makes more sense once you see it done through here. Let me just move it down a little bit so we can see. So you can see here that Kerry is unwinding this big bit of cloth. Now you'll start to see the length that this actually is. It's really long. This is why Kiara is holding it up at that end. Otherwise it would have just basically dragged straight down onto the water there. And I've got the camera in basically high speed shooting, so it's going to grab 8 frames, 10 frames per second, and then she'll run away. As you notice, what she did there was run away. Let me just bring it back so you can see how she will run. There you go, she jumps and then runs away. So I shoot in that scenario, and I'm just going to choose basically the best 2 images that are available. You'll see here that I'm giving instructions. I'll pop in a second. You can see where I'm giving instructions as well. There I am giving instructions, telling Kerry what I wanted to do. So I usually count 1, 2, 3, and then Kerry will jump and let it go, and I'll just fire off a number of shots in succession. Now you can do this using a tripod as well, but I just didn't have the time on the day. That's the actual video that you'll see when she's running off in the video where she runs out of the screen. I just slowed that down, that footage down. So that's how that was done. And sometimes I'll just have Kerry and Kiara, they'd be shaking the fabric, because I'm going to use multiple ones of these to put together usually, and that's how I'll make it look a lot fuller. So if I show you the image itself, this is the finished retouched one here. I then just cropped it a little bit when I went into put it online, and I've just taken a little bit off the top and a little bit off the bottom. But if I come back, I'll show you how this is done. Basically, you'll see here that this was the first one. This wasn't the one I used, but I did use one of these images to put together with the other one to make that fabric look like it was fuller than what it actually is. So you'll see Kerry here actually is off the ground. So I've gone 1, 2, 3, and then I've taken a series of successive shots, and Kerry then will just run away. Now I will then just retouch her out of the image that I choose. So you can see here that she's still going away. So there's a number of shots there that I've taken. In the next shot that comes up in a second, which was the one that I used as the base image, this one, you can see here that Kerry is just basically running away again, and I'll just continue to take the shots. Oh, they're the retouch ones, but I'll just take the shots here, and then the fabric sort of goes down. So all I do is I choose the favorite shots. Sometimes I'll add multiple ones of these together to get the image up. So what I did anyway was I grabbed this one, and I grabbed this one, I believe. No, which one was it? It was definitely that one. Yeah, it was that one and that one. Okay, so I grabbed this one and this one. Hopefully it'll be the right 3. And let's have a look. If I go to the library, and we can have a look at all three of them put together. All right, so there they are. They're the three images that I actually used. So you can see the top two are, well, I've used this one as the base image. You can see that because that's where she's pointing, but I've added this component down to here. So that's what gives it this fuller look. And it's basically, if you look at it, it's come through the whole thing, through that whole section there. And it's just made it a little bit fuller. There's no way you can do this in one shot with that amount of fabric. You saw the length in that video that I played, how long this is. You'd need a cyclone to basically be blowing that type of material over that length. So let's have a look now about how we go about doing this. But before we do, I'll just show you that, let me just take that one out. Now, you'll notice too that if I click on this image here, these have not been altered at all. If I go to the develop there, you can see that the image there is basically untouched. If you look on that side, it's not been touched. The second image has also not been touched either. So these are camera raws straight out of the camera. So in this scenario, I've basically captured them as close as possible to what I wanted. Now, I did have to push the ISO up. You'll notice up the top there, this is the a7iii. It's at 1/320th of a second. It's at f4, and it's ISO 2000, and it's the 16-35 f4 lens. So I wanted to get a shutter fast enough so that it would stop the material dead, which is what it's done. I didn't want it to be blurry. I wanted it to be quite sharp. So that's why I had to use 1/320th of a second. Now, because it was an f4 lens, I then had to push the ISO up. If I had the 16-35 f2, I could have shot this at f2, and then obviously I could have dropped down the ISO. But to be honest, ISO 2000 on that camera is nothing. I could work with that all day, and I'm quite comfortable with working with it that way. So what I do is I work out the two images that I actually want to grab, and then basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab both of them, and then now that they're selected, I'm actually going to right click on the image, and I'm going to go down where it says edit in, and I'm going to choose edit in, open as layers. Now, I'm not sure whether, let me see if I go up, you might be able to see it enough. So if I go here and say edit in, I'm going to choose open as layers in Photoshop down there. So it's the bottom one. My head's sort of in a way, but you can see it's the bottom one anyway. So open as layers in Photoshop. That should open up Photoshop. So let's see if that now opens. Now, because I've said open up as layers, Photoshop will bring both of these images in as an independent layer. So you can see there that the bottom one is actually the master one that I want. I want to use this as the image that will be used. I'm just going to have to basically take Kerry out of this image, and the top one is just going to be used to add a little bit more of that of this fabric coming in. So how do we go about doing that? Well, it's quite simple. I need to hide the portions of this top layer that I'm not going to use, or I'm going to use. So all I'm going to do, I'm just going to go down to the bottom down here, and I'm going to use this layer mask, which I've brought up. Now, the thing with the layer mask is that's allowing everything to come through at the moment. If I reverse that by just going Command I, it then becomes black. Now, when it's black, I can then use a paintbrush, and as long as I'm on white, anything I paint onto here will allow that layer to show through. Now, it'll make sense as I do it. So all I need to do is work out roughly where the red is, and you can see it's here. So I'm just going to paint onto this area, and I'm also going to paint down here as well. So I basically get it where it's looking fairly full, like I want it. Now I can then zoom into these areas and then control that. Now, because I'm painting with a brush, I can then alter the color again to black, just to bring these areas back again so that it's as it was before, and it'll look like they're blending together. So that's how we go about there. Now, I'm not going to spend too long doing this because I don't want to make it, perfect, because I've already done the image. I just wanted to give you an example about how this image was created. I might just take a fraction more of that out in there. Add a bit of wave in there. And if you wanted to, I could even take it out, so sort of blend the two together. It just depends on what type of look that you actually wanted to get. Because I might just blend it in a bit. Okay, so that's basically there anyway. I mean, you'll get the gist of what's actually going on. Now, once we've done that, what I can do now is I just have to, I'm going to make a combined layer of both of these two images together. So basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the Shift, Option, Command and E. That will duplicate this layer on the top with everything in it. So you can see now it's just an independent layer. Now to get rid of Kerry, all I have to do is I'm just going to grab the lasso tool. Let me just get rid of this. I'm going to grab the lasso tool up here. I'm going to draw fairly close around Kerry, around this edge. Now I could just clone her out, but I usually just do this first, just to get a good image initially. Now I'm just going to go to Edit up the top here, and I'm going to say Fill. Now when I go Fill, all I have to do is make sure that I'm on Content Aware through here. Just say OK, and it will basically get rid of Kerry reasonably well. All right, now there's still little bits of her showing like her legs, so all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to grab the clone tool, and I'm just going to clone out parts where she was. Now the only other thing too is I just want to get rid of all of some of these areas, so I'm just going to use this tool here, the patch tool, and just go through and see if I can get rid of some of these areas that are showing up through here. Now I'd spend a bit of time doing this, but I just don't want to take too long because like I said, I've already done this image already. But you'd spend a little bit of time trying to get rid of all of this, because I like it to look like that untouched sand, so that, you know, there's no markings sort of in the sand. Everything's pristine. These are the little extras that just make the image go to that next level, rather than just being, you know, like a boring image where you can tell what's been done. All these footprints are basically what Kerry did when she was running around the beach there. Jumping up and down, so they're quite deep footprints, and I'm just going to get rid of them like this fairly quickly. And then, like I said, I'd spend some time cloning and doing different things as well, but I'm just doing this quick to give you an idea about how this exercise could be done. Now let me just reduce that down a little bit. And I'd even get rid of the ones that are on the sand through here, just to make it look really pristine in that area. Now, due to the fact that, like I said, I've gone really fast on this, I could then also use like a clone tool if I wanted to, and take areas from here and just sort of clone down in these areas through here. And, you know, you can see that I'm starting to get a bit of a better look with the actual image itself. And then basically what I might then tend to do is just add a little bit of contrast on this image. Like I think I might darken just these areas up through here. So what I'll do is I'll grab a curves dialog box. You can't see that down the bottom because it's hidden, but I'm just going to grab a curves dialog box. I'm going to grab this tool up the top there, and I'm going to grab these highlights down just a touch, just to give it a bit of darkness in those areas up there. Now again, I don't want it to affect the whole image, so I'm just going to go I again, which hides it, and then I grab a brush on white, and then I'm just going to paint this area in, just to add a bit more detail in those areas. I can even then adjust the opacity a little bit so it's not so obvious. I could even come into here and say, grab another curves level, come onto the dress and lift that up. If I wanted to, just go I again to reverse it, Command I, and then brush through in that area again, through the dress through here. Someone's at the door. So I can just do that to bring up the dress a little bit in that area. I can do the same things if I wanted to make it a little bit redder or whatever I wanted to do. I'm then just going to flatten the image. So if I just go flatten image and say save, Apple S, then if I go down to here, you'll see that now the image is actually complete. All I then need to do is basically go to the crop tool. I want to adjust it so that the horizon is now level. And then I can obviously crop it to wherever I'd like it to go in the image. And that's basically the image done. You know, I might want to add a little bit of clarity if I wanted to. I could also add a little bit of vibrance to lift those reds up as well. You can even go back down to here if you'd like and grab things like the magenta, and you could just affect the actual color inside the red dress there too if you wanted to. So there's multiple things you can do. You know, you might want to lift the blues a little bit if you wanted to as well. But it gives you a basic idea about how I've added these two images together. So let me know basically what you think about that. Let me know if that's helped you. Like I said, shooting this camera at 2000 ISO is not an issue at all. They're really no noise really that you can't work around. I mean, I'm really happy with the results of this camera. The dynamic range is insane. It really is beautiful. This shot is just done in daylight. It was actually quite dull, so I'm surprised how well this actually came up. You can see that if you looked at the video. It was quite a dull day. But please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'd love you to do that to join us. And I'll see you all again soon for the next video. Bye for now.